Oh, guys, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what? I hope this isn't about your podcast again. Why, did you finally listen to it?
Before we start this podcast, let me invite you to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, YouTube, or any podcaster. I'm such a cute.
I was looking in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly to my surprise, he did the monster mash. He did the mash, the monster mash. The monster mash, it was a graveyard smash. He did the mash, it caught on in a flash. He did the mash, a monster mash. Flow from the laboratory in the castle east. Flow to the master bedroom with a vampire feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abode to get a joke from my retro. He did the mash, the monster mash. The monster mash, it was a graveyard smash. The monster mash, it caught on in a flash. The monster mash. Whoa. Happy Halloween.
Hello, pups and kittens, and welcome to an exhausting episode of The Groomer Next Door. I'm your exhausted co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me is the half-asleep Sarah.
Hello.
And I say this lightly because it has been crazy today. I mean...
We almost didn't get this done.
Well, yeah, we're recording right now at the same time that this podcast has typically been edited and in the cloud asleep right now. So bear with us. We might be a little bit almost jet lag crazy, but we're going to put together a great podcast for you this week, and hopefully you won't even notice us, kind of falling asleep as we're doing it. All right, this week's fact of the week. Now, on the same side, we are doing Hedgehog Talk Part 3. I hope we actually still have people listening to us at this point.
It's a month of Hedgehog.
It seems that way.
There's Shark Week and all this stuff, but we have Hedgehog Month.
And you know what? The reason why we actually went this deep into the Hedgehog Talk is this is going to be something for all new Hedgehog owners. This is going to be a tutorial for everybody, with special guests, with a lot of information.
And we ourselves need to learn, because we have one, and it was kind of abruptly given to us, but lovingly given to us at the same time. No matter how much reading you can do on Wiki or Google or something like that. Is that what it's called?
Wiki.
Wiki.
Wiki is actually Transformers.
See how tired I am?
Yeah,
I want to go watch Transformers. Let's go watch Transformers when we're done.
You want to just go and, skip this and go watch Transformers?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because we got an awesome guest and full of information. So, anywho. But it's not only for everybody else, but it's also for us.
Yes, it is.
And it has been a roller coaster of emotions on, a little critter here that has stolen my heart, that can't show love like a kitten can or a dog can, but it can show that it appreciates you.
Very true. Very true.
Well, thank you for justifying me.
Well, you liked how I used those
Filler
filler words. Good. I agree with you. All right, this week's fact of the week was actually something you wanted to use this week, so I put it in. Dogs and cats get fleas. Even people get fleas. But you know what? Hedgehog fleas are specific to hedgehogs. They won't live on your dog or cat, gerbil, or in your home. They are the wrong size for anything other than a hedgehog.
I saw that and I was like, wow. Because,
Mind blown.
well, we're dog groomers. We bring home fleas sometimes, and they can be at the cuff of your shoe or your pant leg,
Or in
your
your sock.
pocket, or in your sock. It happens. People like to try to blame groomers for their dog getting fleas going home from the groomer. You know, if you let that dog walk outside, that dog would have gotten a flea.
Right there, taking it for a walk in your front yard, going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It probably
got
picked a flea or even a tick.
So it is very, very unfair to blame your groomer for your dog getting fleas leaving.
Right.
For one, your dog should have been treated anyways.
Right.
It's going to get to the point where it will be a mandatory thing that every dog needs to show proof of being treated.
I think that wouldn't be a bad thing.
I think it's going to be soon.
Yeah.
And same thing with heart guard or something like that. But and I was worried. Okay, you know, my little dude, what the heck? There's no actual revolution or frontline for a hedgehog. So luckily, as long as he doesn't get any hedgehog fleas, we'll be good.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I think that'll be fine.
Trust me, I'm checking them all the time.
All right, let's move on to the weekly roundup.
The weekly roundup. Yeehaw.
All right, this week on our weekly roundup, we're actually going to discuss what happened earlier today, which was Kitten Fest 2016, which was, I would actually go on a limb and say, a huge success.
Oh yeah.
But also a huge upset came out of it.
It was more of a surprise. I wasn't prepared for what happened. I wasn't.
What happened was.
I was not prepared for it. When you've had fosters as long as we have, we get attached.
Very much so.
And because we've not only have we rescued them from a very bad situation. So it takes a lot of energy and time and passion to get these cats
And money.
But it's a labor of love kind of thing. And then when it's adoption day, you got to put your big girl panties on and say, you know what, we can do this.
For the better good. Greater good.
Yeah, we can do this. They need a forever home. This opens up more room for our house in case we wanted to get another foster.
Wait, you said in case we want to? There is no in case we want to. It's when it's going to happen.
True.
There is never in. Hey, do you want to do any fostering? No, it's hey, there's a dog, cat, whatever that needs a place now, and it's usually always a stat kind of thing.
Yep.
And we're in that car on our way.
Yep. And we get everything set up. It was pretty quick. We were all late because we were all super tired.
We were early, but it was.
Well, we forgot to trim the nails on all the cats.
That's true. That's true.
And
But
so
we were
we were
still
doing-
there at 8:30 for a 9 o'clock
8:40.
start.
Yeah.
Oh, for a 9 o'clock
So I guess
start.
we weren't exactly late. It's just I wasn't there on the time I would like to have been. We got all set up and it was quick. Before we were done setting up, we already had somebody there looking for a cat.
Yeah.
She had her mind set. She saw the pictures. She goes, I want double.
Right. Which that was between
not a
double and
surprise.
toil. That was the first pick. I thought no matter what.
It was not a surprise. The lady was willing to pay the $50. 35 of it was a voucher or a
Coupon.
Deposit basically.
Yeah, better
that
word.
will go to the veterinarian and tell them, okay, this is $35 towards neuter. And it could be only redeemed for neuter, not for shots or anything. Neuter only, because these guys aren't fixed yet.
But they're up to date on shots.
Up to date on their kitten shots, and they have their their revolution.
Right.
So they're good to go. Well, she's so excited. Everybody said that she'll make a good owner, and she said that this cat was going to be her soulmate. I was like, that's a new one for me. All right. I like that answer. Good answer.
But in life, the people we automatically think are our soulmate are not exactly our soulmate. It's the person or animal that you least expect that will be your soulmate.
So here's Double just loving on her because
Loves on everybody.
Double's a morning cat. He loves being up in the morning.
He does.
And he loves getting loved in the morning. Toil is not. So Toil was still half asleep. Like, seriously, it's cold out here. I don't want to be here. What's going on? And Double is like, hey, hi, I'm Double. You can call me Dee Dee if you want.
And what's odd is, it's a little early for cold weather. I mean, it was about 40-some degrees at around 8:30, 8:40.
I don't know about that. It was in the 50s.
You think 60s. It was in the 50s?
Oh yeah.
Okay. It was a chill in the air. Now they had nice protective areas, so they weren't.
And they had each other to cuddle up with, so I wasn't really worried about that. She takes the kitty home, and about an hour later, she comes back, and she's almost in tears, and she has the cat in the box. And she says, my apartment said I can have cats, but didn't tell me the only cat I can have is over a year old.
Which, that's a new one to me.
That's a new one to me too, but this can get people away from having a cat that doesn't know how to use a litter box. And, kittens have a heart, sometimes they're really difficult.
Yeah.
And yes, one of the two, I can't remember which one, has trouble using the litter box. So I said, Lady McBee is your girl.
Right.
She's spayed. She's ready to go. She is loving. She is sweet. And you don't have any other cats. She will absolutely love your home.
And has the same personality as Double and Toil.
Personality as them. Only thing is that she didn't really get along with the other cats.
I think she's going to be great there.
I think so. And like you said, it's not exactly the person you think or the animal that you think you're going to fall in love with. It's the one completely unexpected.
And what I always find funny is that there are people. Now we were pretty much, from the time I was there, we were constantly
people coming up
to us, talking to us, and really, I thought we were going to just run out of cats before the hour was up. It looked that bad.
Like that. Yeah.
It was crazy. It was like an ice cream shop almost during summer. Everybody wanted a scoop, and it was really bizarre. And when I looked at the whole thing, I was going, of all people, everybody's looking at everybody else and not at Spencer, not at Lucky, not even at Double or Toil.
Yeah, see, at the beginning, Double was gone before they started. The lady knew to get there right then so she can have her cat.
Double wasn't even at the event.
Yeah, she was. Oh, that's right. You had to go home. Get him.
Yeah, because we only have the one car right now.
Yeah, so we only had one way of transporting.
Yep.
So we took the bigger ones first, and then went back for the kittens. Because the bigger ones, if they saw something happening, they would hide and never come out. And they would have hid somewhere in a place that we never thought was there.
And I went to Claire and I says, all right, say goodbye to Double. He's already been claimed. And she kind of got glossy-eyed and,
She loved those kittens. She saw those kittens' eyes open.
Right. Well, all of you who watched it on Facebook with us, you all saw it as well.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, I felt bad. I was feeling it. I felt that on the drive back.
So as Double went with her, and before she came back to get Lady, somebody came and saw Gemma. Now, Gemma is absolutely gorgeous and stunning, beautiful, soft, but she has a personality problem.
Okay, let me go really quickly back on Gemma. Gemma, Carl, and Lulu were our May rescues.
Yes, we've had them since May.
You guys, if you've been watching us on Facebook, you saw her. She was the one who spit and was slapping her paw down, hissing. Very difficult cat.
Trying to protect Carl.
Right.
And Lulu's just in there, I'm gonna eat, I'm hungry, I'm starved. No one's gonna hurt them, they're just overreacting. Well, here Gemma is, she just curled up in this lady's arms and stayed there.
Another lady, not the same one with Double.
No, there's a different lady.
Yes.
And this lady's trying to get her husband to agree to it, and she's looking at her husband's in the car, and she's like, come here, and he's like, nope. I know that look too. I go through this look a lot. And I was like, here, let me hold on to Gemma. Why don't you go over there and talk to him? And sure enough, she persuaded him to come over and just look at her. And you get the foot in the door.
I loved what she did. Here, please, hold her. He's like, nope. She goes, no, you're going to hold this cat. And he does it reluctantly. And she knew what she was doing. She's been married for a while.
And Gemma got up there and pushed her head up against his neck, and it was done.
He's like,
He was,
fine.
all right.
I loved his comment. I don't like cats. He's trying to hold on to every ounce of manhood
He's
he had
not looking
left.
at it and stuff. And
You know how often we see this on any adoption process. It's the same thing. The guy is trying to hold on to the last amount of manhood he possibly has until he lets it go, and then it goes. And I love it.
And then after Gemma, Carl was adopted. I wasn't really there for that one because I was talking to somebody else about the other cats.
Okay, those were some college kids.
Oh, that's right. You know what? Okay, I remember.
Yeah.
There were 4 college guys that came in.
5, I thought.
5?
Yeah. Which I thought they were just there.
I was really reluctant when
I
you
was
see teenage
too,
boys
yeah.
come up and they want a cat. You're I don't know, but as I started talking to them, and because you gotta talk to everybody, and you started listening to what they wanted and what they needed, they already had their mind set.
Yes.
They knew that they needed to hold on to them and talk to them and look at the cats to find out which one would be best for them.
And I don't know how they actually heard about this. I mean,
Facebook.
I know it was on Facebook, but I don't know where the posting was shared from.
Probably Piccolo because they boosted the post.
Oh, okay, there you go then. That makes sense. Maybe we should do that one of these days.
They were really, really into the fact that this guy, he's away from home. He's away from all his animals he's ever grown up with. And he is lonely. So he has the support of his family to be able to make sure that that cat has everything it needs. And
He tried out every cat.
Yes. And that's what made my heart just melt.
And he didn't, he didn't go right for the black cat, which
Right.
made me I was watching him. I'm like, okay, you go right for the black cat. I know you're up to no good.
And see what's great
He
about
didn't even
Lucky.
really go that way.
What's great about Lucky is Lucky's not pure black. He's got a lot of white in them. So, bing, 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 bing.
But if he would have gone to Lucky, and that would have been where he was focused, I would have been, that hyper focus. He would be like, yeah, there's something wrong here. But he really did not want that. He was like, he looked at Spencer, was holding Spencer for a while, but Spencer was, a little bit too hyper for him. And he, in his own words, he said, I'm very chill and I like to lay around a lot. Which I thought to myself, you're in college, boy, you don't need to be laying around. But then again, I thought to myself, enjoy it while you can. It all goes, away.
And the Carl just melted in their arms. And if any of you guys have ever seen the videos of Carl, he's not exactly like that.
He might have found a personality.
But Carl loves everyone. And another thing is that they were worried because he goes home and he wants to take the cat and he wants him to get used to the cats at his house too. And I said, Carl has been very inviting to every single kitten that's entered our home.
Do you know what sold him? Because I told him when I'm watching TV, Carl curls up and hangs out next to me and watches TV with me, and he's like, sold.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Because that's Carl.
That is Carl. So that was an interesting one. I was like, Carl Gemma gone?
Yeah, poof, right off the bat, gone.
I mean, we're talking somewhere in the 9 o'clock hour. And then it's like, okay, we had Double come back at this point. We had.
Oh no!
I think.
No.
I think.
Because
I was only there until 10.
There's a
10
little
something.
girl about 2-3 years old that fell in love with Lady McBee.
It's kind of sad.
And she really wanted Lady McBee and wanted to call her Vanilla. And I was like, well, Lady likes kids. It's perfectly fine. Well, they went and went shopping at Family Center. And when they came back, Lady was gone because Double was brought back. And the lady took Lady.
So here's a little piece of info, folks. There is actually a lesson to be learned here. If you go to an adoption event, and these happen all over, so you probably will have one down the street from you at any time, especially during kitten season when, obviously they're 8 weeks past and not nursing. But when you see a cat or a dog that you love, and you just want to think about it, put a deposit down. You can get that deposit back. But put that deposit down to think about it. Thank you. I make a few of them.
That is an excellent point.
So make sure, because, you know, they were kind of like, oh, crud.
Yeah,
we snoozed and we loosed.
Oh, we loosed?
Yeah, I had to rhyme it.
Snooze and lose. Well, then they start looking at Lulu. Now, Lulu, you want to talk about a serious personality problem.
You talk about a rehab that was the hardest rehab ever.
She's the reason why we still had him for so long, is because they were not eligible for adoption yet. There's nothing about the personality that said, hey, I'll be fine on my own.
Right.
Well,
and again,
I explained to the lady. What?
I was going to say, if you remember back episodes, we actually were very reluctant on what could happen with her. She was going to be a barn cat. And that was it. We didn't think that there was a chance of anything. Indoor, outdoor.
She was going to be a mouser outside in a barn chasing mice, and that was it.
Yep. Wouldn't wear her collar. We thought she was going to have to be microchipped because there was no way around this. Right. And we worked at this one.
And with your hard work and with Claire's ability to get over fear, because she kept pissing at Claire.
Mm-hmm. Smacking her.
And then all of a sudden it stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lulu started coming up. This all really happened after she was spayed.
Yeah.
She really started opening up. And she started loving on Claire. I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes. And it was consistent.
Right.
I told the lady, I said, she wants her space. She wants to be able to get up away from people. She loves to be loved on. But she will tell you when she's done.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not nice.
And she'll tell you where it's not allowed.
Straightforward with this lady. She says, okay, we got it. I understand. They'll have an outside indoor area, and which is great because Lulu was raised outside.
Right.
She'll probably be more happy that way, being able to come and go as she pleases. And then Glenda made an excellent point that Lulu might calm down once her kittens are gone because she was constantly protecting her kittens.
That is a really good point that I never thought about.
Huh? And same thing with Lady. The lady might have gotten a little aggressive with Mama Kitty because Mama Kitty's protecting Callie, and Lady was protecting her kittens.
I think that Lady was trying to take over Mama's territory though, because she would go to her spots. And
well, they're both dominant, women, and
yeah, that's not even an understatement.
The lady didn't hesitate. And she goes, I have an area where the hay is. They can climb up on the hay and they can go and catch mice. She did without hesitation. She didn't bat an eye at the whole, she has personality flaws. I need somebody with caring, understanding, and loving hands. And she goes, that's fine with me.
Cool. Hey, that works.
So the ones that I really thought were going to get adopted, Double Toil, Lucky, and Spencer. And
they came back. They came back with us, and the ones that we thought this is going to be the hardest to get rid of were the easiest. And then what's weird is I had to leave because of Claire's soccer. I came back after the game, which was when it was breakdown time. Nothing happened pretty much when I was gone.
I developed a migraine.
I believe that, but it was weird. I mean, all of the action seemed to happen when I was there, and then.
I'm so glad you were there. So many people were asking questions, and a lot of people, they like coming up and petting and touching, and I am all for it. Get these guys used to strangers so that their transition isn't going to be so dramatic.
Right, traumatic.
Thank you.
You're fine.
I said dramatic, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
You're
so
fine.
Dramatic.
You're fine.
Overact. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So these guys are going to be put up on Pet Finder.
Mm-hmm.
There was one person that we had to decline. They were going to make him an outdoor cat, and these two were not allowed to be outside because I know for a fact that they would not survive a day on their own. And plus, when you have an outside cat, they only live 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And
yeah, you reduce their life by a lot.
But these guys mean too much for me to only have a 3-year lifespan.
And let me run this down really quick because we're going a little long.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. No,
because we have a great interview to get to.
This is great. I mean, I don't want to actually reduce from a great adoption event. Also, part of PCAL is that you do a check, which you checked reference before they were even able to actually, give money or anything. They had to do an application. They had to do you are on the phone with the reference. Everything was not like you would see at a Walmart or Target or any kind of place parking lot trying to just get rid of cats. It was very strategic and very careful, and that's where the decline came out. It's you were scheduling a house check to make sure the property would be safe for the cats, for both Lucky and Spencer. And after a review of the idea, they were declined because it wasn't safe for the animal. And that's something that is very important to understand, folks. Making sure that the adoption process is going to be to good people, a well-adjusted place, and that these animals will live their life in a good quality is the most important. And that's why we're so adamant about being part of this, because we know that our hard work isn't going to be lost, and these lives are going to actually flourish. So it's very important.
The strongest chance possible.
Very, very much so.
He was basically told that if he would want an indoor-outdoor cat, there are some available at the Rolla Animal Shelter. The ones that we have, that their foster parent does not feel safe with them going indoor and outdoor. But the shelter, more than happy to have adopted out.
And there's places that are actually probably better suited for certain adoptions. Your needs for a dog or cat may not actually meet the needs of the animals that are available at any adoption event. So, always take that into consideration. Again, something else to really consider when adopting. All right. Well, this week we do not have G&D news, and we do not have pup quiz. Sadly enough, because we're running so heavy this week.
We'll use for next time.
So, and we actually apparently have a pet food recall.
Dog food recall alert.
All right, this dog food recall comes from Cesar Dog Food. The recall came out on October 7th. The Mars Pet Care has announced that it has initiated a voluntary recall of the limited number of Cesar Filet Mignon flavor wet dog food due to potential choking risk from small pieces of plastic which entered the dog food during production. If you may have purchased this product, check out the show descriptions to see if your SKU number matches up. And if it does, contact your local grocery store or whomever you bought the product from for a refund.
Oh, hello. Hold on a sec. Dad, we have a guest on the podcast.
Well, we are joined this week with PJ from Arkansas Hedgehog Rescue. I am so glad to be able to talk to somebody who is in this region, who actually has a real perspective of what's going on and an expert in hedgehogs. Thank you very much for making the time to be on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So let's dive into this. Let me start to pick your brain on hedgehogs, because obviously we're on week 3 or series 3 of our hedgehog series. And I wanted to know, how did you get involved with hedgehogs?
Well, it started off with my husband being allergic to cats and dogs.
Oh.
And after being married for about 20 years, and we don't have any kids, we didn't have any pets, I felt like I needed something, and so I saw a picture, and it was just really cute, and so I started doing research, and, they're covered in quills, so that's not a whole lot of fur. I figured my husband could handle that. So we did the research and decided that they would fit into our lives. And so we went down had to drive 5 hours to Texas to meet one, and fell in love and brought him home with us.
That's a really interesting way of actually thinking about it, because we always talk to people and we always talk about hypoallergenic cats and dogs, and usually that's the direction people go. Never have I been told, well, we just decided, hey, let's go for a different type of animal. And that was really smart. Did he have any issues with the saliva being on the coils?
You know, his main issue is asthma.
Oh, okay.
And so it's more the dander and all of that. And so he has never had a problem. They are small, and they are in their very own room. And I do have an air purifier just, to keep things all clean and nice. But no, he's not had any problems with asthma with the hedgehogs. And the only issue would be occasionally, you get a little bit of itchy bumps, and that sort of depends kind of on the chemistry of the hedgehog. Some of them will affect either of us or both of us, and some of them won't, and it just kind of depends.
Yeah, I was wondering, being an expert in that. Now, I'll get that every so often. I was under the understanding that it was the saliva that was on there. Is it something else?
Well, the saliva would be, basically, it would be like if they were licking something, and then they would anoint on themselves. And so then that would be on their quills. But I think it's more chemistry myself. Just because all of ours get fed the same thing, and, they all have the same interaction, but some will smell a different way. Some, their cages will smell a different way, and some will react to us a different way, or our bodies will react to them a different way. And so I'm thinking that it's just kind of a unique thing to each hedgehog.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen every time. I mean, I'll handle him and he'll be fine, and then all of a sudden the next time I'll be like, ooh, I'm itchy. So I never know what that, I don't understand that.
I don't know either.
Oh, well, you know what? I always thought it was saliva, so maybe it's just something else. All right. Well, tell us about your rescue.
For rescue, well, we got our first hedgehog in 2010, and we kind of accidentally became a rescue. There was another hedgehog that needed a home, and we decided, well, this one hedgehog is pretty easy. We can handle another one. So we decided to adopt her. And then, I was actively involved in like the Hedgehog Welfare Society and different forums and things. And so as I grew and learned more, we just kind of fell into it. There wasn't anybody in Arkansas. And so there came a couple little girls that needed a home, and so we were contacted at that point by the International Hedgehog Association. And so we just decided to go ahead and become a rescue for both of them. The thinking was that we would be sort of a pit stop where we could, bring in the hedgehogs that needed a home, and then we would find them a home. And so that we wouldn't necessarily be, accumulating hedgehogs for ourselves. But it has kind of grown into more of a rescue as opposed to just a rehoming, in that now we get a lot of hedgehogs that are sick or injured. And so those ones tend to stay with us. And so we are doing adoptions, we are rehoming, but we are also, a permanent home for rescues as well.
And that's amazing that how one hedgehog became, this helping hands. That's really cool. And the Hedgehog Welfare Society, is it, like a nonprofit group, or what is that all about?
Yes, the Hedgehog Welfare Society is involved in the United States and Canada, and it's basically to try to get a rescue station in every state that it's legal to own a hedgehog. They're nonprofit, and basically they serve as support for each other. Also, if one person hears of or is contacted by someone who has a hedgehog that needs rescue, or is looking to adopt a hedgehog, well, they have this community of people throughout the United States and Canada, and we can find homes for hedgehogs, and we can find ways to rescue hedgehogs. So we've we've done things between states, where we've had like hedgie trains and stuff to get a hedgehog to its destination. So it's nice to have that support.
That is awesome. And the International Hedgehog Association, are they the same? Is it kind of the same thing, or is that something?
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah, they're not as well known or as active as the Hedgehog Welfare Society, but still they're also a nonprofit, and they're based out of Colorado, I believe. But they as well try to find homes for hedges that need it and try to find care for the ones that need that too.
Oh, that's cool. See, that was something I had just heard of for the first time when I was reading your bio, so that was cool. Is there a more common time of the year for hedgehogs to give birth? Like cats have kitten season. So is there that type of the year that you'll see more baby hedgehogs, or is it just...
No. Basically, these hedgehogs, the domesticated hedgehogs that are here in the U.S., they are induced ovulators.
Okay.
So basically, the females ovulate in the presence of a male.
Okay.
So if you don't have a little boy around, then your little girl will not ovulate. That's also, as far as health goes, it's not good to have a male close to a female continually, because then the females can be prone to ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow. Now, I would have thought more of in a light of kind of a false pregnancy, in a sense.
Yeah, they would tend to ovulate and ovulate and ovulate, and then it can give them problems,
Wow.
sometimes cysts or masses, and they'd be more likely to have a stay.
See, folks, this is why I'm talking with PJ, because I didn't know this stuff, and that's what makes you being on the podcast so important. Because I'm just going, wow, I wouldn't even have thought of that. And with all the stuff I've read, I haven't read that yet. So that's really interesting. What's the number one reason for people needing to surrender their hedgehogs? Because we see, people, I need to surrender my dog because the place I live doesn't allow them, or, they became too much of a problem. What seems to be the common thing that you hear often?
For the most part, we've got two really common reasons. One is that I'm not giving the hedgehog enough attention. Mm-hmm. I don't have time for them, or my child doesn't have time for them. And then the second reason that is really common is my hedgehog is sick or injured, mm-hmm. and I don't know how to take care of them, or I don't have the money for a vet. So it's usually those are two big issues.
And that sounds, obviously, as you know, we've got ours from our child didn't, not our child, the child, mm-hmm. It was a teenager, didn't give that our hedgehog the opportunity and the love and affection, so they surrendered it. So I can imagine mm-hmm. that, and I can definitely see the injured. I really just think to myself, come on, folks, you got to do the research. They're not just right. Like birds you can put in a cage and put a little bit of food in there and they're happy, a little mirror. They require some attention.
Right. The attention they require is not really putting you out for the most part. They would be happy if you just watched a movie and had them in your lap.
Exactly. You can just, ours will sit next to me on the couch and just kind of curl up, and that's it. And at night, he'll go over to my wife, and he'll go up to her shoulder, and he'll kind of hide underneath her hair. And that's and he's just happy. You'll see his little nose poked out, and that'll be it. So it's cute, and he doesn't ask for anything else. It's interesting how simple it is. Have there been reports of hedgehog hoarding situations? Obviously, with dogs, there's a great deal of that, and cats. But with hedgehogs, does that seem to be a common thing?
I don't know of any situations with just hedgehogs specifically in a hoarding situation, although there have been situations where people have hoarded animals in general, and hedgehogs were among them. There was also a really big case in 2009, Global Exotics in Arlington, Texas. They had 27,000 animals.
Oh, wow.
And out of that 27,000 animals, over 700 of them were hedgehogs. And they were raided, and all of the animals were confiscated. And because the hedgehogs, for example, were in feeding troughs.
Wow.
So the animals were, of course, being abused. They were dead or dying. A lot of them were starving or eating each other. And so that isn't necessarily a hoarding case, but that goes into like the whole exotics situation, I guess. And some of the abuse that they can suffer.
And obviously, I mean, this is considered an exotic animal, which, you know, I don't know how I really would call it exotic, but, you know, because it's not, to me, it's a unique animal. Exotic to me is, you know, I don't know, it sounds like something that would be imported and almost kind of rare, but it does fall in that category, and I think they're great, and I love them to death. I would love to actually see, you know, us have a lot more, but I also look around, I'm sure you do the same thing, look online and see these people selling them for $100, $150, $200, and I think to myself,
right,
this is ridiculous. I mean, we've talked about backyard breeders, and obviously I'm going to talk about that in a second, but, you know, people that are just breeding these great animals just for profit, and it's sickening. And I'm sure you probably see a lot of it and hear a lot about these situations, and just I kind of shake my head. Just don't get it.
It's heartbreaking because, you know, anybody can do it. Anybody can put two hedgehogs together and create more and sell them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
And hedgehogs, a lot of hedgehogs, you know, they shouldn't be bred. That's where you end up with the hereditary diseases like the wobbly hedgehog syndrome. And, you know, I guess that you have to do a little research if you're going to buy a hedgehog or adopt a hedgehog. You know, it was kind of heartbreaking for us. The first hedgehog that we had purchased, you know, I did all the research. I went down there and bought from what I thought was a reputable breeder. And turns out that that they had issues in the past because they were breeding rescues. And so, you know, you're supposed to have a lineage. You know, you're supposed to know where the parents and the grandparents came from. There's supposed to be a history with the hedgehog so that you know that there's not any hereditary diseases that they can pass on. And so just to rescue hedgehogs and then to breed them and sell them, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for a lot of issues. And we kind of have that problem here in Arkansas. There's not really a lot of reputable breeders. But there are a lot of people that, you know, will do it as a hobby or, you know, do it for a little extra money. And we have had one case where we had a little boy that was brought to us. We named him Ticket, and he had wobbly hedgehog syndrome. The only way to really know if for sure if a hedgehog has wobbly hedgehog syndrome is after they die. You have to send them off for a necropsy, and they find lesions in the brain.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so after he had died, we sent him off. So he was a confirmed case of wobbly hedgehog syndrome. Well, the person that had brought him to us had already bred him, and so he already had offspring. And she had sold them, and someone that she had sold them to wanted to breed the baby. So, you know, you end up with, you know, with this continuing line of hedgehogs that have an issue and they're being bred and they don't find out about it or they don't know about it, they don't care.
Now, is this disease kind of what they have said it's equivalent to like MS for humans?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It starts off with a little bit of clumsiness, tripping. Either the front or the back legs will stop working, work less, and then pretty soon they'll lose all mobility.
Okay.
And you end up having to feed. We would have to feed every 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
About 4 or 5 times a day, and change them. And eventually, you end up with with no quality of life.
Yeah.
So at that point, but again, at that point, you have developed such a close relationship with this hedgehog because you spend so much time a day, looking in each other's eyes,
Yes.
feeding him, and then you have to have them euthanized because they have no quality of life. So it's really a heartbreaking disease.
And I know we've talked about it, and like I asked you before we started, I want to make sure we're doing hedgehogs justice. First thing we're saying is if you're going to adopt, obviously the words purchase, I just hate the idea of purchasing animals.
Right.
But adopt and give money. But if you're going to adopt, make sure that they're USDA certified. Make sure that you actually have some kind of medical kind of assistance from the breeder. Because that was the first two things that I had read is when you're adopting, make sure that they have these qualities. Because if not, you can end up in your situation, and that's just a horrible situation to be in. And then you lose a companion that you have bonded with and just such a high magnitude. And I always just look at it and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry for everybody who, and especially you, for telling the story. I mean, I really appreciate you telling the story. Because it just shows it can happen to anyone, and you did your research, so that even shows even more. You can do all the research you want, and it can still happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
That is heart-wrenching.
And the bottom line is, you look up the breeder. You have to put a little bit of effort into it, and then ultimately too go with your gut. Mm-hmm. They have to be knowledgeable. They have to act as though they care, and you have to have confidence in them.
Very true, very true. And even at that, I mean, you can still you still can end up in a bad situation because some people are really good at manipulating. That's the sad thing about it. I mean, I know we've seen different situations where you'll have a male or even a female. I mean, really isn't gender specific, and they'll say, "Oh, well, we'll take the dog or a cat." Predominantly more dog, but we'll take the dog, and especially with online situations, person has to give up their dog. Oh, we could take your dog. We're fine. We're with a rescue. They're not. And then you just start to see the shadiness. And luckily, Sarah and I will, when we see it, we'll step in, and then all of a sudden that person disappears. And then this sweet person shows up, and you know that they're connected because you can just check back on Facebook and you go, oh, well, they're married or dating this person, so there's connection. And you just don't know what's going on. And you're almost kind of like, oh my God, these are online predators. And yet they're not there to go after your kids. They're going after your furry kids. And it's just, it's frightening. And then you don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to use your dog and the person, the little animal that's such a big part of your life? Are they using that animal to reproduce? Are they using it to abuse? What's their motive? It's frightening. And these people are out there and they're trying to profit off of your loss. And that, to me, in your situation, what you're saying, they're adopting these animals just to reproduce them, and you have to question it. You have to question these people's psyches.
Yeah.
And to carry on, and it kind of goes into the same, topic we're on. In your experience, are there a lot of backyard hedgehog breeders? I know we were just kind of in there. And if so, what can you advise new hedgehog owners to look for?
There are a lot of backyard breeders, a lot of hobby breeders, and you don't have to know anything about hedgehogs to breed. You just have to have a male and a female. So, I would do the research. I would ask for referrals. I would ask for a health guarantee. I'd ask them questions about their hedgehogs. Do they have names? How old are they? How long have they had them? Do they have any history from that hedgehog? Do they have any documentation? Do they keep track of who they pair hedgehogs with? And then, like I said, just use your gut. Make sure that they're knowledgeable. Make sure that they care and that you do feel comfortable, adopting a hedgehog from them.
Very well said. What's the most difficult, and this is going to be our last difficult question in the world of hedgehogs, because I know these conversations can get very deep and they're hard, I know. But what's the most difficult situation you've been a part of since rescuing hedgehogs?
We had a little girl. Well, actually, it was a boy and a girl, and they were a breeding pair, from a family. And they had a little homemade cage, and the girl was in one side, and the boy was in the other, and they were separated by chicken wire. Mm-hmm. And she had about 2 feet by 2 feet, and he had about a shoebox size worth of cage. So neither of them had wheels, neither of them had a hide, and they were put on Craigslist as a breeding pair that would make you money. Mm-hmm. And so this was in Tulsa, someone contacted me about it since I think I was the closest one. So we made contact. I went down there and got the hedgehogs. He said, by the way, there's, the girl, she has an injury. So I went to pick her up, and she just started bleeding all over my hands. So at that moment, I was like, okay, that's it. You can keep your cage. Give me these hedgehogs, and I am out of here. Of course, I had a 5-hour drive home, but on the way I stopped. I made an appointment immediately with my vet. I had absolutely no idea what was wrong with the girl because I just wanted to get her to the vet. So here I was thinking that maybe she had a urinary tract infection or perhaps a uterine issue. But we got to the vet. She put her under. She came out and got me and said, "You have to see this." It was her leg. Her leg was 2 to 3 times as big as it should be. And it was a front leg. And so apparently what had happened was, she would climb in her cage. And I'm thinking that she probably fell once. They didn't know how she got injured, but said that she had been injured, that she had hurt her leg. She never got any veterinary care. And what could have been as easy as a simple round of antibiotics turned into this severe suppurative osteomyelitis, which is a severe bone infection with pus. So it just turned into, basically the bone disintegrated.
Oh my God.
And then it was trying to build new bone, and so they couldn't even take a clear x-ray because her leg was just a mishmash of bone parts. So anyway, we had to amputate. And it took her, she had to be on antibiotics for over a month. Because it's something that can get into your system. Mm-hmm. And you don't want any of the other bones to get infected. But her name is Lolly, and she is still with us, and she is quite the trooper. She wobbles around on 3 legs, and the thing is, she's missing a front leg, so that's really hard for her. But she's the most talkative little hedgehog, and she uses her wheel, and she is just precious. So it turned out well, but it was a difficult, traumatic thing at the time.
I believe that. And when you started that with the chicken wire, I was like, oh gosh, that right off the bat, I was like, oh my gosh, there's definitely something connected to that. That is the first thing, folks. Please don't have that in the cages. I think a lot of people think, well, it'll keep them in, and it'll have ventilation, which obviously that's not the best idea either, because they get cold.
Right.
And that's kind of scary in its own right. But it's like, oh my gosh, and just to think that it was just almost in a sense a cash register for somebody to be able to say, well, breed, and then when they realized, oh, there's, this hedgehog's not going to be able to breed anymore because of conditions. So disturbing. I want a psych evaluation on these people. Honestly, I don't know how they can think that this is okay. I just don't.
I know it's hard sometimes for people to admit that they need help, or that they've done something wrong, they've let something go too long, they should have gotten help earlier and they didn't. But and the thing is, I understand that, and let's just go from here. So instead of dumping your hedgehog in somebody's yard, which has also happened, then or instead of letting your hedgehog waste away in the cage and then bring it to me 2 hours before it dies, just do what you can, admit that you made a mistake, that you could have done better, and then get the hedgehog the help that it needs. I don't care, just give me the hedgehog and let me help. And I don't care if I don't care if you should have done better. I just want to help now.
Yeah, you're not going to educate them. You're not going to go after them. You just give the hedgehog, surrender, and turn around, walk away. I don't care if I ever see you again.
Exactly. I'm not going to write your name down in a book. I'm not going to stalk you. I'm not going to, tell the authorities about you. I'm not even going to, mention your name or even probably remember your name. But I will remember that hedgehog. And so, if you're in a situation where you need to get your animal help, then do it. Just do it. And do it as soon as possible, because that's best for the animal.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's get to a lighter side of it. And this is definitely, I know how hard it is, especially when you're passionate about something and passionate about another life. And in this case, it's plural. I know it can be a little challenging to get through these. But here's the best part, and that is, what are you required for someone to adopt a hedgehog from you?
Gotcha. The requirements they're not too bad. We require the adopters to have a large cage, a large safe cage, and you can get those at Petco or wherever. A guinea pig size cage is great. We require a wheel, and not just any wheel, a safe wheel. I really like the bucket style wheels. We use personally Carolina Storm hedgehog wheels, but any wheel that is a flat surface, where their nails can't get caught, and where the ridges won't bother their feet. So any style bucket wheel is great, but they do need a wheel because they love to run. We require a hide of some sort. They have to hide. They're secure that way. They feel safe. So either, it could be something as simple as a tissue box. I have some that love tissue boxes.
Really?
And we trade them out every week. And I've got some that have actual little igloos, and I have some that like the cuddle bags, and then these other little things we call hedgy hats. They look like a little beanie hat. They like to crawl up under those. It's something that they can crawl under and hide in. And we require that you be able to spend time with them. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be, while you're watching TV at night before bed, just get them out, put them in a blanket on your lap, and just chill with them. And that's perfectly fine. We require that you have a heat source. personally, I prefer either a chi, which is a CHE, ceramic heat emitter, or a space heater. Now, of course, the space heater is going to heat the entire room, which for us works out great because we have an entire room for hedgies. But the ceramic heat emitters are great if you have just one cage. And then also, we require that you have a local vet. And in addition to that, have a little bit of funds set aside specifically for emergency situations. We also require that you provide good quality food. And there are some other things that we prefer. For example, we prefer fleece instead of like wood chips, because fleece is, it's reusable, it's soft, you can wash it. It's not as messy as the wood chips. Wood chips can get into the penile sheath of the males, and that can cause infection and even death. And also for fleece, it helps you to take better care of your hedgie because you can see blood and vomit, whereas that gets lost in wood chips or Carefresh bedding.
And so, you can get fleece for so cheap at Walmart. I mean, it's so simple.
Oh, yeah. And it's great. I do one load of laundry. Oh, well, now I do 2 loads of laundry every week. That's just hedgie laundry. And, you got to use it over and over again. And you can come up with some really cute little designs and decorate the cage, So it's a lot more fun, and it's all around better. The only time we use wood chips or Carefresh would be if there is a potentially pregnant female. And that's so that, if she has babies, that they would be in a nest. Because you have to leave them alone for 2 weeks, and having them on fleece wouldn't be good.
Yeah, I can see that. Because I'm thinking about the wood chips. I can see how the nesting look to it, and the fleece. And I don't know if the fleece would really breathe right. So
right.
You'd almost be afraid that they would almost suffocate in that as well.
Yeah, and they could stick to it or whatever, get lost in it, and so if we have a potentially pregnant female, then we'll put them on wood chips or Carefresh. But otherwise, we turn them over to fleece. And I turn them over to fleece as quickly as I can because the wood chips get everywhere.
It does. It's the worst. It's so much easier. When we first got ours, it had the wood, and it was just, you could smell that almost kind of nasty smell to it, and it was like, it was everywhere. It's like, this has got to end quick. And we were told, hey, go fleece. I was like, all right, and that worked out so much easier. You just simple change out.
You can use the fleece to cuddle up with them too, as a little blanket. So.
Yeah, and if you have little strips of it, they love playing tug of war with it, so that's enjoyable. So cut little pieces, and boy, they just love pulling on it. It's great. Well, that was all my questions, and I really appreciate you making some time for us and all that you do. I mean, you're definitely, out there doing all the best work, and you're making a lot of difference, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. We've got a lot of support. We all started off not knowing anything, and it's just because other people helped us along, and then hopefully we can help other people.
And that's the goal. Well, one hedgehog at a time, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate everything, and check out this podcast show notes for more details, and good luck with everything, and hopefully, if you want to come back, just send me a message.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, PJ, so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed my time with her. We hit some real heavy subjects, and she was telling those stories that one thing that really got to me was her compassion.
Oh, yeah.
She loves hedgehogs, and it came through right here. You guys heard her actual emotions to it, and I commend her on it. She is exactly the kind of people I like to talk to on this podcast, because that's who we are. Now, you had some points that you wanted to actually cover.
Well, right off the bat, I was like mind blown.
I know.
When she said that it was basically her husband and how he was allergic to animals. And then hedgehogs don't have dander like the dogs do. They don't have shedding like the cats do. Whoa.
Right? I was like, oh my gosh.
You can't have a dog or cat. You're not able to have a bunny or a rabbit, or a bunny or rabbit. Oh my gosh!
I said this is going to be a tired episode.
A bunny or a gerbil of some sort. Well, here you got yourself a hedgehog.
Right.
It has very little fur. Most of it's spiky.
And go back to what we were talking about earlier. Soulmate. A dog and cat wouldn't have been a soulmate for him, but a hedgehog ended up bringing this type of. Look at where they've taken it. That's pretty cool.
And the story on how they got started.
Right.
And how it went from there. I didn't know that there was this huge a hoarding situation.
Right. Yeah, 26,000. I actually looked it up. I could not believe it.
And 700 of them were hedgehogs?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was ridiculous. I mean, this is where this whole thing of exotic animals, as we talked about, this lucrative kind of market for them. And then you think all of the animals that were part of this. I mean, what a terrible situation just to profit off of. They didn't care about the way of life.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating part. Everybody knows this, I am not against breeders. I've never have been. I still believe adopt before you shop. But I also think it's okay to get yourself a baby every once in a while. People can't afford to adopt, so they have their own children.
Right.
I mean, people do it themselves.
People who can't have children adopt.
Exactly.
That's what you meant, right?
No. People, instead of going and adopting children that are in orphanages or in foster care, they have their own kids.
Oh, okay. If they can't.
So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm
people
sorry,
themselves breed.
Yes.
And they don't adopt. Okay?
Right.
I'm
Okay.
just saying,
I
people
got
themselves do it too.
Sorry, I was not here.
Follow the bouncing ball.
You're right.
Anywho, but adoption, it just brings so much more joy, knowing that you got to give that hedgehog or a dog cat a happy ending.
Or even a little child.
But I can see her frustration in the backyard breeders, the wobbly hedgehog syndrome, and people not caring. And they just put, I got female, I got male.
Just
boom.
keep producing, and look at. I mean, we right away looked up how much these guys are going for locally, and it's $150. Can you imagine when you get more into an area that's more quote unquote trendy? It's gonna go up.
But it is important if you don't have a hedgehog rescue anywhere near you, or not being able to get one. That espresso machine is very loud.
It really is, and we're recording a podcast here. Don't they know that?
But if you can't get a rescue and can't get a hedgehog transported from the rescue to the state you're in, and you have to go and buy one, like she said, you need to do your research. It is your obligation
to
do your research.
She's done her research, and she even had an incident happen. That's the proof that even with doing your due diligence, it can still happen, but at least you can try to avoid that. First, make sure that your breeder is a USDA certified breeder. That's number one. Make sure that they actually have some kind of medical plan in case of this.
Knowing the parents, knowing where the grandparents
lineage.
came, some kind of lineage is extremely important.
Right.
We need to go get our ceramic heater.
Yes.
We're getting to that time we need a ceramic heater. But she even suggested the same ceramic heater as others have. Her compassion for these animals and her passion for rescue, it's amazing.
And it's great. I mean, she said, in Arkansas, we didn't have anybody who actually was able to, they weren't breeding them there. So she had to go to Texas.
Yeah.
And now it's become more of a thing with the right people handling all this stuff, and that's exciting to me.
And another thing too is that now that we know where she's at, we can network with her. If she needs somebody to transport, if someone's going to go from Arkansas to Rolla and then wants us to go from Rolla to Illinois, we will be more than happy to help transport. And in any direction really. Once we get our vehicle up and running, or shoot, we'll go rent a car and
Rescue
take a day.
2 needs to come back up. We need a Rescue 2 today.
We need Rescue 2 today. Something fierce.
Yes, our car is named and it is on its license plate.
Rescue 1 is our Taurus. It's running great, and then Rescue 2
has no engine in it.
Has no motor. It will be going through its 3rd motor here shortly, hopefully.
Yeah, that's another story.
And then, hopefully by before Thanksgiving we'll have it.
I'm hoping. Boy, we need. And you know what? This is the time of year that we end up having to go into properties that with the consent, obviously. We don't just go in, trespass, but go into properties to rescue dogs who had puppies.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's the hard part. But I love the butt at the same time, but...
Oh, Minnesota. But now we know somebody that is closer.
Right.
Because we are not... I honestly don't see us stopping at just Sonic.
No.
I see us going and getting a rescue from Arkansas. I can see us going and getting a one from maybe a breeder. But that would mean that we would rescue 2 or adopt 2. And then...
I would like to have an actual baby. Now, one thing that really caught me, and I was just like, whoa, I didn't even think about that, was that you can't have the male and female nearby because she'll menstruate.
I didn't know that.
I was just
the
like...
The ovulating.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. And
mind blown again.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire time I was just listening to her, hanging on to every word.
I was hanging on to him too. I mean, I was, I obviously, you know how many guests we've had on the podcast, and sometimes you go through the motions, sometimes you don't. Very few times, to be honest, I've gone through the motions, but I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, going, the stories that she told, her personal side of it. I mean, we obviously talk about, the chicken wire.
Yeah.
I knew when she mentioned that, I just knew that it was going to be some kind of deformity, something broke, ripped off. I knew that had to be the case. That's why I'm so glad I didn't interrupt her, because I was like, let me guess. It was in my head the whole time. I thought for sure that I would blur it out and spoil the story, and I didn't even know the story at the time. We didn't even talk about this before.
That was horrendous, and they put it on eBay or Craigslist as a breeding pair.
And
that female was in no way, shape, or form able to breed.
Go back to our previous podcast, back in the way, where it was social media, the new
backyard breeder.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. But that came from
a new way to peddle their quote unquote goods.
Right. I mean, it's unbelievable. I almost kind of felt like Dr. Phil right there for a second. Here's my new book. Check out my previous books. It wasn't meant to be like that. It was more like, we have a catalog of episodes to reference different stories. But I just felt like Dr. Phil. I don't know why. But I was, again, I was telling her afterwards, I said, come back anytime you want. Mm-hmm. We'll find ways of either moving an episode ahead or whatever, because, obviously we don't want to stop doing Hedgehog stories.
Right. We'll always have something about it, because obviously when we go through our Hedgehog parenting,
yes.
How am I supposed to say that? We'll be sharing our struggles and our joys and such.
Yeah.
And we'll just go from there.
Yeah, and that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Well, by that sound, I guess it's time to go.
Yep.
And yet it's dark outside right now.
It's dark. It's like 7 o'clock, and we still have to run to Walmart.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yay!
This 6 days of going is just absolutely killing me.
And it's just going to get more now that I have become president of PACAL.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we talking about that?
It's just a change of positions, but I've now been bumped up to president.
And I am now board member.
Whoop, whoop.
That's the first.
Well, pending on what Sherry and Shelby say. I'm pretty sure it's a yes.
I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
I might say no.
Yeah, right.
But I'm pretty sure they'll outweigh my no.
Well, Sherry's actually seen me in Hook Hall even longer than you, which is kind of weird. But
she likes me better.
Well,
everybody likes me better.
I'm with you on that.
Sorry, the applause have probably been going this entire time.
It has been going this entire time. Can you believe it? I mean, the folks there, I really appreciate everybody plotting this lawn for us. I don't know. So anyways, I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green. Make sure everybody realizes life is short. Play as a pet.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, leave a like on iTunes or YouTube. Or leave a comment.
And now the show is over now.